Welcome back to another Reading and Correcting with me, Kindard, the Tiger Writes, and Ty, the Tiger Supervisor. These are where I read a chapter from one of my stories and correct it as I go. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube. And if you are looking to support me, that is on my Patreon. Today we are doing chapter 30 of The Technician's Fight. That's not what I wanted to happen. There we go. The ship didn't have the air of expectation Jeremy had expected. I want to have expectation Jeremy had expected. I don't like having those two words there. Expectation. You know what? The level of alertness. The level of alertness Jeremy expected. There was something in the days that followed, but it wasn't the tension. It wasn't tension he felt. They were chasing a pirate ship. Didn't that mean? Oh, I see. Okay. But it wasn't the tension he felt. Okay. That's confusing. There was something in the days that followed, but it wasn't like the tension he felt. They were chasing a pirate ship. Didn't that mean that any moment now, battle could occur? Grallitt explained how the ship they pursued was staying ahead, pushing their reactors until they were slightly faster than the Bane, and he's going to use redlining. Redlining their reactor, and it's singular, not plural, until they were slightly faster than the Bane and becoming slightly slower when they needed to ease up on it to keep from destroying themselves. What his heart didn't seem to understand was that it was only a question of time before that didn't work anymore. And since they were suicidal enough to blow themselves up as soon as the Bane had showed up, they'd shut down the reactor before the explosion occurred, and they would be weapon fire. Well, shuttles boarded. There would be weapons fire while shuttles boarded it. Then fighting, rescuing of prisoners, and more fighting. Grallitt pulled him to bed and distracted Jeremy before they spiraled any further. And in the afterglow, he'd realized that the lack of tension on his heart's part, the reason the ship wasn't keyed up for what was coming, could be because, unlike him, they'd gone through this before. This wasn't their first prolonged chase. And Kelsirians weren't built for sustained stress. They knew something was coming. The civilians knew that. At a moment's notice, they'd have to head for shelter, and they remained aware of that. But until then, they did what their gods demanded of them. They lived, they loved, they enjoyed. Real or not, there might be something to that mindset. He looked at the sensor reading, trying to make something of them, anything, because of the situation, the engineer had open access to the sensor. He had to ask for changes he needed, but their readings were mirrored in his office for him to study and provide advice if he had them. It also meant Jeremy had access to them. He'd finished the work he'd been assigned, so until the engineer noticed and gave him something else to work on, he studied the readings. What do you make of them? The engineer asked. Jeremy snorted. What's there to make? Their engines are going so hard, they're basically shielding everything on the other side from our sensors. He pointed to a spike. That might be a mark of Archeron radiation, which would support their redlining their reactors, but it could as easily be interference from the propulsion energy. Earther? No way to know. Even if it wasn't blocked, the energy output from reactors is just energy. We get byproduct radiation, but that's pretty much the same no matter how a reactor is designed. I could see someone trying to shield those, but all that do is make them stand out. Most of those can't be blocked. They'll go through everything short of a black hole, the engineer said. Yeah, but it wouldn't stop someone from trying, just to say they did it. It's an Earther thing. Maybe some other species too, but we are famous among ourselves for building things that serve little purpose other than to prove it can be done. All those projects on your drafting table? Jeremy chuckled. Most of them. A few are what I think of as improvement to the reactor. Don't worry, I don't do anything. They're mostly theoretical models. When the engineer didn't comment, he looked over his shoulder. The pensive expression went away. When you have your own, he stated, and Jeremy laughed. Oh, sure. When you're so old and shriveled, you can't be the engineer. You mean? He shook his head. I'm happy sticking with theory. Hopeless problems like this and whatever you give me to do, so I don't have to think about what's going to happen when we catch up to them. The backup needs to be looked over. Do you do that and fix whatever's needed? You're letting me do whatever I want without checking in with you first? The male snorted. So long as it's just repairs to repair what's wrong. Not that I care what happens to it. It's not like it's mine. But don't even think about trying your ideas on it, he added as Jeremy smiled. It's your heart you'll have to answer to if he needs it powered and it doesn't work. The smile didn't go away. But him, I know how to bribe. The engineer rolled his eyes. That works just as well with me. Oh, sure. That's why you're letting me make any changes to your reactor. His friend smirked. You aren't that skilled. Jeremy looked over the secret. Right now, he called without pulling out from within the shuttle's command panel. It wasn't going to work yet again. So there was no point in... It came on! Tom exclaimed, and Jeremy went over the readings. They were stable. None of the secrets generated heat. Had he actually lucked into giving the maneuvering system active control? He pulled himself out. Just don't ask me how to recreate it. Maintenance, his friend said. I'm ready for a test maneuvering. Give me all the give me the all clear. That's going to be... Where are you? Come on, cursor. Give me the all clear to engage flight control. Who's this? I'm not registering any ship on the comms. You may address me as pilot Tomeri Mortoral. I'm in my shuttle, the Earther designed one. You got that thing working? I do have access to an Earther engineer. Don't anyone get the idea I can do anything about other Earther ships, Jeremy said, moving close to his friend so that his caller would pick up his voice. I don't even know how I got this one working. He knows, Jeremy said. He performed Earther science on it. She opened his mouth and had a finger in it before he could protest again. Well, you're alone in that part of the hangar, so you're clear to unlock, but not to maneuver out of the civilian shuttle section. I don't want my shuttles damaged when yours blows up. We'll be fine. Tom took his finger out of Jeremy's mouth. You know this could blow up. I'm confident it won't happen. His friend replied, tapping screens. And why is that? Jimmy held on to the chair when the shuttle vibrated. Because our death would make Zinni sad, and his namesake would never want that for his favorite lover. Your trust in... The shuttle jerked up and Jimmy's heart jumped even higher. Tom squealed in delight. I can't believe we didn't blow up, Jimmy muttered. Told you. He tapped other controls. Now, how do I see outside? Don't look at me. My only suggestion is to stick your head out the hatch. Can't do that. I'm at the controlled. He smiled. Do you mind looking outside and telling me when I get close to a wall? Tom, you can't. The shuttle drifted and Jimmy rushed to the hatch. You are insane. Am I close? He should jump out and let his friend kill himself. Roughly 20 meters away. He could console anyhow. 15, 12. Growl would be harder to do so with. 9, 7, 5. Tom! The shuttle stopped moving. Am I 3 or 2 meters away? From an early grave? What's that? The fastest way to the forest. Tom laughed. So? He looked outside. I'm calling it 2 meters. Closer than I wanted. Told Mother. Look ahead. Tell me when I'm 3 meters away. Are you? Jeremy yelled. Then the shuttle drifted forward, and he didn't wait for that 3 meters. He gave a running countdown of the distance, and he breathed again only when it came to a stop, roughly 3 meters from the wall. You're going to give me a heart attack, Jeremy complained. What are you going to tell Growl then? That I took you to medical and that you'll be in his bed before his sleep shift. Park this thing, you lover of just Billiam, so I can get out of here and tell Growl who you're truly in love with. My love is big enough for him, you, and a few gods. The shuttle drifted away from the wall. Glad to hear that. I just want to survive being in this shuttle with you. I swear, I am never getting into anything you pilot again. Tom grinned at him. You better hope to we make a station before I'm on shift again. Ship pilot, remember? Jeremy swallowed the groan. Well, at least he couldn't. Nope, he wasn't even risking the thought. Jeremy screamed as he pushed himself to his feet, shoving his two packmates off of him. They rolled to their feet as two other ran. Jeremy grabbed one and swung her into the other. Then, had a weight on his back, he reached, grabbed a handful of jacket, and pulled. Kelsirian might have strength over him, but that meant little without leverage. She landed on her back and wriggled out of her jacket before he could throw her to the side. She grinned as he panted. He threw himself at her, and was the one grabbed, maneuvered off balance, then was on his back with her straddling his chest. Before he could reach for her, there was a weight on his arm, then the other, then his legs, and then his hips. Try as he might, he was the one without leverage this time. What mistake did you make? Thur asked, looking down at him, and Jeremy glared. Ever agreeing to being a hunter? He snapped. How can any of you just be enjoying yourselves when we've got to be about to end? Yeah. Well, I mean, in his state, I'm not going to fix his speech. How can any of you just be enjoying yourselves when we've got to be about to enter combat any day now? 2 weeks we've been at this, and them redlining the reactor and barely letting it breathe. I can't stand this. She stood. Maybe you males need to distract our packmate until he remembers that hunters live when we don't hunt. But the fight will come when it comes, Hunter, Isbito said. The mistake you are making is the same you often make. You are in the future. Be here, now, with us. I don't know how with this. We're going to be sent on that ship. You can't know that, Thro said, standing. I'm the only one with experience of Earther reactors, and the odds are extremely high. That's what's on that ship. We're being sent. Eyes turned to their beta. It makes sense, he said. The others nodded. That's it, Jimmy demanded. You've just got confirmation we're going into battle, and you nod? We're hunters of the line, Yamilk said. Going into battle is what we do, but until then, we have to live. Live in the now, enjoy the now. Those here with us, for after the battle, some of them may be walking to the forest. Not today, their beta said. No, Yamilk said, smiling. Not today. Not today. Jeremy reminded himself as he felt the tension rise. Rise. The fear of what was to come. He focused on his breathing and swam. Not today. Another week. He was amazed the other ship's reactor hadn't given out yet. The cycle of redlining it and barely slowing it down to allowing it to cool down hadn't narrowed as much as he'd expected. He didn't have enough information to figure out what it meant other than the reactor had to be recent, which supported Earther military passing themselves off as pirates, and that this wasn't simply a commandeered ship. Or they were successful pirates who understood the value of recent and properly working equipment. Not enough information. Not today. He plunged and turned around. The mantra helped, but keeping busy was more effective. He needed problems to solve, things to keep his mind focused on the now instead of tomorrow. But always working on those came with problems of their own, so he had to take breaks. He had to live, to enjoy, to be. Never realized how hard just being could be when something loomed. He saw the sandy incline and stood. He grabbed his towel and he grabbed his towel off the sand and stood drying himself. Not putting on a show, he told himself, just putting himself on display. Kelsirians enjoyed watching him, so why should he deprive them? He chuckled at the memories of his early discomfort, all the attached belief of what it meant to be looked at in appreciation, even with desire. His hair, more damp than wet, he stretched on the sand to soak in the heat. Not today, he reminded himself. Probably soon, but not today. Today, he lived and enjoyed himself. Tomorrow would bring whatever it brought. And that concludes chapter 30 of The Technician's Fight. If you are enjoying this, please leave a like. If you want to know when the next chapter will be up, subscribe and hit the bell. If you want to read this story, it is available on Ream Story. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube. Links are in the notes. And with that, I shall wish you a good day.